Hello Internet, my name is Ace and today I'm going to show you how to take a value painting and colour it digitally. Here we have a full value painting and this is going to be the base for the colour. If you want to learn how to get a sketch and take it to this point, then I have a video of that on my channel taking you through this exact painting, and if you look up in the top right hand corner now, a card should have popped up. If you just click on that, it'll take you right to that video and you can learn how to get to this point right here. I'm doing this in Photoshop CS6. You can do it in pretty much any Photoshop and any digital software really. You can do it on the iPad in Procreate and pretty much any digital painting app that you can think of. So we have the values on one layer, so we need to create a blank layer on top of that and set that so it's a color layer. So you just find that in that drop down menu and you'll find it on pretty much any digital painting app. As for brushes, you can pretty much use anything, but with colors it's sometimes easier to use the standard airbrush. So if you're working on Photoshop, you can open up the brushes panel and use the basic brushes and you'll find it on there. And we're going to use a soft airbrush. So that's basically all that you're going to need for this. Then if we paint, we can pick a color. We'll just pick a nice purple here. And if you paint over the top of this, it's going to keep the values intact that are underneath, but it's just going to add color on top, which is similar to the way that acrylic artists and oil artists can do it, like the old Dutch Flemish painters did with creating glazes of color on top. Now we can basically just go to town and start painting the background. I like to work on the background first and then come further towards the foreground. But the way that I'm doing, we're not going to get too much into colour theory at the moment, but I'm picking a colour, then I'm going to the left of that colour and the right of that colour if we're looking at a colour wheel. And then for the fish, I'm going to use that in a complementary colour, which is the opposite on the colour wheel. Again, don't worry too much about colour theory at the moment. We can get into that. Just worry about getting the saturation right and everything like that. And what I will do is I will create a video on colour theory for digital artists. So we'll work on temperature, saturation, colour schemes and things like that. So don't worry too much about that at the moment. So here we are, we've got our colour. I'm kind of playing around with the saturation a little bit, kind of going so that the further away that it's getting from the light source, which is in the top right hand corner, it's going to get less saturated. And we don't want our backgrounds too saturated because we want the things in the foreground to stand out a little more. I probably went a little bit too saturated in this, but it was just a demo for YouTube, so I would probably have gone a little bit less saturated and played around with the colours a little bit more. If we're overly bothered and a little bit worried about the saturation being a little bit too much, we've only done the background at this point, so we can change that by going to the adjustments and the hue and saturation and bringing that down a little bit. If you increase the saturation, obviously it's going to get, the colour's going to get more vibrant, but if we just bring the saturation just down a tad, then it's going to sort that problem out. Right, we're on to the fun stuff now, which is painting the foreground. What I like to do is I like to kind of find a colour that's the local colour so that there's no dark or light involved in this. So for this, I kind of went slightly warmer with the blue and a little bit more bright and vibrant because we can get those things in there. And then basically just covered that full area within that one colour. Colour temperature can be a little bit confusing, but the way that it works is it doesn't wrap all the way around. So as we get further lower down, that red is the warmest, and then we're getting up towards that pinky violet colour, that's the coolest. So if you're trying to cool off, you want to be going further up if we're looking at something like this, and if you want to get warmer, you want to go further down. Like I said, this doesn't, like the colour wheel where it wraps all the way around, colour temperature doesn't. It's all figured out by science on how much the light waves get through, all that kind of rubbish, but it doesn't wrap all the way around. So if you want to get cooler, go further up, and if you want to get warmer, go further down, and that should work out pretty fine for you. I want you to push the colour on this piece way beyond what you'd see in nature and reality. So I've really just caricatured basically the color temperature. So as things are getting more towards the shadows, they're going way more purple. And then as they're getting more towards the light, I'm shifting that color up also towards the warmer colors. So like I say, you wouldn't see this in reality. And this is just me demonstrating this so that you can see it's a little bit more obvious and more visual, because I'm pushing those things really to their extremes. Whereas in reality, those things are going to happen somewhat, but to a lot of a lesser degree. So once we finish that first section, the top part of his color, then we can move on to a different section. We could have gone for the inside the mouth, we could have gone for the bottom section, we could have gone for the fish. It doesn't really matter at this point, but I just chose to go with the teeth, go a lot less saturated, like super low saturation with the teeth, because you don't want these like bright, horrible, garish colored teeth. So I am still working on the fact of as they bend into the shadows, they're going slightly purple, but not to the extreme that I went on with the first part of his skin. With the inside of the mouth, I wanted to go like you would probably assume that inside a shark's mouth. I've never really stuck a thermometer in there, and if you want to do that, that's totally up to you, but I'm really not going to be sticking a thermometer anywhere near a shark's mouth. It probably gets warmer in there because there's more blood and everything like that, but I wanted to create this feeling of this just huge cavernous cave, so I went really cool in the shadows inside the mouth. And inside the mouth is probably more of a red color like it is in our mouths because of how close the blood is to the surface and things like that. But because we're working within a set color scheme where it's essentially the core color and then slightly to the left, slightly to the right, and then we're working on the complementary color for the fish, I couldn't really push it totally to the red side anyway, because that would break that color scheme. You could get away with that, but I just wanted to stick quite strict with that color scheme. So I wanted to create this huge, like I say, cavernous, cool, just horrible area inside the mouth. So that's why I went super purple with the shadows, and then brought it out so it's blended to a lot warmer on the outside section of the mouth where the light is hitting. So the underbelly section, the white part on a shark, is going to not look exactly white because it's going to be affected by the atmosphere that is and the surroundings that it's in, which is obviously water. So it's going to have a slight blue tinge to it anyway. And I'm just here again, just hitting those purples, those violets, just really cooling out the bottom of the places where the light is not hitting as much. Because, like I say, I just wanted to really caricature this, go like overly saturated with it, and just make it this really almost striking, cartoony, over the top colouring. Which, like I say, you're never ever going to see anything like this in reality. But that's the beauty of art. Obviously, you're never going to see a shark with these proportions and everything like that either. But the beauty of art is that we can take things to a place where reality stops. We can kind of carry on and push those a little bit further. Now it's on to the fish. Now I could have pushed this way more orange to be a bit more of a complementary colour to the blue. But like I say, this was just a video demonstration that I was doing for you guys for YouTube. So I would have spent a lot more time on it if it was going to be something I was going to be using for my own personal work. Not that I don't love you guys and don't put the attention in, but we're really just trying to create something for the eye to look at. Now, I think the fish's eye actually falls directly on the point in which the thirds of the image, if you split that into thirds, would cross over. It would probably be around the eye point. So we're already in a location where the eye is going to be looking, but I really wanted to pull the eye to that fish even more, because the shark's this huge, just gigantic object. So we want to direct the eye and have this as the complementary color, so the eye is something different for the eye to look at. and I went slightly greener with the shadows to cool them off a little bit. And we could have added some sort of pattern to the fish, some sort of color variation, and I could have gone a lot more subtly with the actual rosy cheeks and things like that, and could have spent a lot more time with this fish. But you get the general sense of what we're trying to achieve here, which is to make the eye to sort of balance the image with color. So we've got all this kind of blue and purples to the left hand side with this massive object, and if we was having a similar color with that fish, the fish would just get lost in the image. So that's why we're really trying to pop it out and make it look vibrant and visible, really. So here we have the final image, and you can see how we've pushed those principles to almost breaking point, especially color temperature. We just push them so that they look really dynamic and unique to the image. If you want to grab a ton of these videos early, then you can head on over to my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/aceconnell. Got a ton of things on there, exclusive videos that are only released on Patreon, and a bunch of other things. If you're struggling with anything I've spoke about here, then stick a comment down in the box down below and hit the like button. That always helps me out. Subscribe if you've not subscribed. There's a ton of these new videos coming out every weekday, Monday to Friday. It covers all sorts of things. I've got unboxings, speed paintings, tutorials, everything you can possibly imagine. So go and do that. And until next time, have an awesome week, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. If you want to support me and in turn grab some awesome goodies for yourself, such as early and extra videos and Google Hangouts with me from as little as $1 a month, head on over to patreon.com/aceconnell. I'll see you there.